Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Alex Sonny Boy Bellehumeur. And we're going to be discussing his amazing memoir, One Step Beyond, Helping the Uncertain Mind Reach Its True Potential. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. And before we go any further, I want to quickly point out that Alex was brought to our network by one of the best advertising firms in the business. And of course, I'm talking about Pen to Paper Press. So listen, if you're a writer out there and you have a book that you've created, but you need help moving it, well, people, give yourself the best gift you could possibly give and contact Pen to Paper. They're one of the best in the business to do it, and this is what they specialize in, okay? So head on over to pentopaperpress.com today and gather all of the ways that they'll be able to help maximize your creative endeavors. And people, listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Alex here on the line. I'm telling you, this is a resource that you're going to want to add to your shelf. And please believe it, we're only going to scratch the surface here today. So by the time we're concluded, I promise you're going to run to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and purchase your copies because you're going to understand how valuable this book truly is and how no matter what the circumstances that you're going through, you are more powerful than you're giving yourself credit for. I love that notion. I love what this book represents. And don't take my word for it. Take Alex's. It's his memoir. It's his life that he's pulling from. He's going to be able to articulate everything much better than I ever could. So sit back, strap in, and have your notebooks ready because this is a wonderful education you're about to receive. Alex, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, man?
Well, fine, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Alex, I think what you're doing here is special. I think what you're doing here is needed. I mean, listen, as I mentioned in my intro, adversity is just part of life. And of course, the spectrum on how severe that adversity may or may not be varies with the individual. But one thing is certain, we're all going to encounter our fair share of challenges. So I love the fact that you put this book together, and I love even more the fact that you're here on the network to discuss it. Alex, let's jump right in. My first question, I got to start with inspiration, man. Why did you write the journal?
Well, it certainly wasn't planned. It was just a series of things that took place, led by a certain Dr. Faber, the dean of students, Cal State U Long Beach, when I received a telephone call from him, and he said, "Mr. Bellehumeur, I would like very much to have you as the keynote speaker in front of approximately 600 of our students on the Queen Mary."
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I was a governor appointee of the World Trade Commission and also the president emeritus of the then number one shipping port in North America. That was back in the year in the 2000s, and so I deliberated and called him back about a week later and said, "Okay, we'll give that a shot." So he proceeded. Well, he asked me to get there early, and I said, "All right." So I got there, and he said, "Let us walk down the sidewalk on a board, and I'd like to know more about you, and I'd like to know more about your past." And so as we're moving, he said, "Can you tell me about your youth, how you were raised?" And I said, "I'm sorry, I cannot tell you that, Dean. I've never been able to speak about it. It's too painful, and I avoid it. I just take that energy and I move it forward in a positive mode." And so he was silent for a minute. Then he asked me a little tiny question, and I in my mind, not a problem. So I gave him a little tiny answer. And that opened the door. And then he would ask more and more until finally he got the picture of how I was raised in my early years. And he was absolutely floored. And he said, Alex, you've got to tell the audience what you just told me. It will make a big difference in their life. And I said, I can't do that. So I got up on the stage finally, and I'm standing there, and here is the dean. Actually, several of the leading people of the university are right there in front of me on the lower area, and they're all nodding their head. You gotta tell them. You gotta tell them. And finally, it seemed like hours went by, and I'm standing there just totally silent. The entire audience was totally silent. And I began. And it began flowing. And I cut it as short as I could. And when it was over, I must tell you, I have never, and I've been in front of a lot of crowds, I've given speeches and so forth, but I have never seen so many people completely silent, not only vocally, but not even moving. I mean, it was like they were in concrete. And then all of a sudden, and this is after I said I really blew it badly, it broke loose with a sound that I've never heard an audience before. And it was pretty, then I went on to my regular speech. Well, when it was over, and we broke off, I'm sitting at home, and this is 2 weeks later, and I get a telephone call from Dean Farber. And he said, Alex, the phone is ringing off the hook. People, students are calling and saying that you changed their life. And he said, you've got to write a book. You have to write a book about your past. And I said, Dean Farber, I can't do that. And he said, would you think about it? That was the year 2000. It wasn't until 2016 that I finally sat down and I began. And I began because I really, truly believe that the one step beyond concept would truly be helpful to so many people with an uncertain mind, and that represents an awful lot of people to one degree or another. So that is why the journal was written, and I am from what I am understanding from various sources, is that it is truly helping an awful lot of people. Mm-hmm. I am not an author. That isn't what I do. I have never written a book. I will never write another. This was for other reasons. This was to help people who have gone through various levels of trauma in their life that they couldn't dig out of. It burdened them for the rest of their life until the day they die. Yeah. They were never really able to experience what their full potential and what the gift that they were given, how are they going to expend all of the wonderful gifts that they have been given, instead of digging a hole and not taking that one step beyond. The reason for the Sonny Boy, I'm no longer called that, of course, but the reason for Sonny Boy is that my father, his name was also Alex. So he started calling me Sonny Boy, and that's the purpose of it.
We could not have selected a more perfect embodiment of a person of distinction. And listen, we've barely scratched the surface. We haven't even gone into specific traumas that he's experienced. And you know where you got to go. Amazon and Barnes & Noble, I'm not going to give it all away, okay? You have to head on over there, pick up your copies of One Step Beyond, because this is truly going to help you move forward in your lives. And as he stated, this book was made to help you do just that. Now, as we continue to push forward and really try to utilize your example here, Alex, listen, we all have our own traumas and challenges that we are facing and that we're struggling with on a day-to-day basis. Without giving too much away, though, if I may, how were you able to overcome your past?
There are certain things you can't describe. You can only make an attempt.
Yeah.
The hell that that I experienced for over a decade was some, with the exception of the other beatings, which was every week from an alcoholic father. I did not realize just how tough it was for the entire family, and living in that shack and, going, et cetera. If you've never experienced really bad times, you don't recognize bad times for what they really are. And sometimes it can take you in a direction from which you never really return. And for some reason, for my own salvation, I had a choice. This is when I was in my early teens, 10, 11 o'clock at that, or years of age. And I figured, okay, I've got a choice. I can either buckle under and let my father ruin me mentally and also the beatings, or I can buck up and I'm going to replace that with determination. And which I did, until finally, one day, Dad was beating me again on a Friday, and he knocked me completely. But when he asked me to go get a twig, beat on me as he always did, and I refused. And he hauled off and he hit me. I went over the stone wall, which I helped him build, and climbed back over again. I looked at him. I said, Dad, go ahead, hit me again. You can't hurt me anymore. That was the last time he ever hit me. And then things moved forward less traumatically at that point. And so I had a choice. I could either buckle under from an emotional standpoint, become a wimp, or I could become evil. I could strike out at other people. I had all of those ways of expressing the hurt feelings in me, the awfulness of those 12 plus years, or to take that same built up energy and instead of hatred, convert it into a positive mode, to take that one step beyond, if you will, and to grow in a positive way and never, ever give up. And do not allow yourself to hate. Try to understand that why people do what they do. Why has my father beaten me all these years? And I eventually, by the way, I found out the reason why. And then I understood. So aside from the beatings, never given any, pride, never giving me any celebration, never any of that. Thank God I got some of that from my mother. But time went on from that point of conquering the challenges that we all have on a day-to-day basis, hour-to-hour basis, and we overcome them. If not immediately, we store it away and we come up with some way that we can address those challenges in the future as they come. And during that whole process, a lifetime process, you continue to grow in a positive way, in a very positive way. Ways that include character, like I will never lie to anyone. I will never tell anyone an untruth. And the thing is, if you do that one time, it weakens you. It weakens your character. And, character really is so vital in one's life.
Mm-hmm.
So got through all of that and reached the many challenges that we all have during our lifetime, and never doubted that I could overcome those challenges. There are a few times when I had to divert and then try again. But I am right now a very happy man. I'm a very comfortable man. I have a wonderful wife. I have 3 wonderful children. I have grandchildren. So all of it is over. And I must tell you that were it not for the fact that I had such a horrific young life, that I don't believe that my character would have evolved to the point that it is now. I don't think that I would have accomplished the things that I have now because of taking that one step beyond and moving forward in a positive mode.
Yeah. There's so many questions that I want to ask, and I have to kind of refrain myself and keep reminding myself, really, like, Benji, this is not about you, okay? So as we start to hone it back in, we start to close out of this fantastic interview, another gem that I'd love for you to articulate. And I think it's safe to assume the answer to this next question, but you know what happens when you assume, right? So I'm not going to do that to you, Alex. I have you here on the line, man. In your opinion, do you think that challenges can limit one's potential growth?
It all depends how you look at the challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the challenge as something that will diminish you, that will weaken you, or you are afraid to attempt to overcome the challenge for fear that you may fail, and you don't know how to handle failure, or a true challenge, that is a challenge. And if I'm able to overcome that challenge, assuming it's a worthwhile challenge, not counterproductive, humanistically, when you do, you become stronger. When you don't, then you analyze it. You say, why? Why have I not overcome that challenge? And then you, through further analysis, you come up with another way to overcome that challenge. One way or the other, that challenge will be overcome.
People, we have truly done a 360 here, okay? We're back where we started, because when I began this interview, I mentioned how it's all about perspective, right? It's all about how you choose to look and analyze your situation. And to put it in its simplistic form, because listen, this book has layers. And of course, I know I'm oversimplifying for the sake of the interview, because of course, an oversimplification is what's needed at this time. We all have challenges that we've faced. We've all had, unfortunately so, traumas that we've experienced. But one thing that is certain, as Alex just specified, is it really depends on how you look at it. The challenges can limit your growth. It can absolutely become a blockade for you. But at the same time, you could also utilize that exact same trauma or challenge and utilize it in a way of giving you strength and really unlocking something meaningful in your life and utilizing it as a pedestal to push you up and beyond. I love this book for so many reasons. You all know where you have to go. I mentioned it before. I'm going to say it again. Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You have to head on over there and pick it up. The book is called One Step Beyond, helping the uncertain mind reach its true potential. And of course, you have Alex Sonny Boy Bellehumeur to thank for it. You know, he said before he's not an author. This is the only book that he's written, and it's probably going to be the only one that he writes moving forward. But I'm hoping that that's not true. First and foremost, he absolutely is a bona fide writer. This book is magnificent. And it is a wonderful gem, and I'm hoping that he continues on this journey because we need more of this wisdom, and there is so much benefit to be found here. Head on over there today, a wonderful resource to add to your shelf, an even better gift to add to someone else's. You can thank me later. Alex, this has been a true pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thank you. You and your associate are wonderful. I really thank you. You made it what would otherwise be very difficult for me. You made it a pleasure.